Hi there, I'm speaking with Norman Stone, and Norman has come all the way from Scotland to Hollywood to get an award. But Norman, you have an extraordinary career as a director, producer, and I remember your first big movie was Shadowlands, the story of C.S. Lewis. Tell us a little bit about that, how it came to be made.
Well, it was a long time ago. I tried for 4 years to get it made before anyone took it seriously.
Explain the story itself with C.S. Lewis.
The story is about C.S. Lewis. If you take C.S. Lewis's books, Surprised by Joy and A Grief Observed, the two very strong autobiographical books, they're basically that. And I figured that that was such a human story, and Lewis had suffered so much with his wife's death, that he sort of earned the right to be heard, really. And it was an emotional, true, very true story of a Christian under pressure and surviving with scars. And I wanted to make the movie, and it didn't sound a very good prospect, perhaps, for the BBC. When I suggested it, they said, what's it about? And I said, it's about a divorced ex-communist practicing Jewess who becomes a Christian, then gets cancer, gets better, gets cancer again and dies. It wasn't that particularly exciting, but eventually, after about 4 years, they said, okay, let's make it. And it became a sort of an industry in the end, really. I just did the television version with Joss Ackland and Claire Bloom that broke it.
What was it about C.S. Lewis that really attracted you?
Well, as I just mentioned, I think when C.S. Lewis suffered with his death, he was brilliant as an academic, brilliant as a Christian expositor. But when that was put under the anvil of suffering, and he was faced with it himself, and was so honest, you know, sometimes you're afraid of being honest. He wasn't. And he told it as it was. When that happens, it makes a difference to anyone watching and listening. They've earned the right to be heard, and I think that's what appealed to me most. There's a man with a brilliant brain, brilliant Christian faith, and a leader of men who suddenly gets the world collapsing on him. And then he had to cope with that, and we are the better for it, although it was a tragedy at the time.
So tell us some of the other movies you've done, because that was a great start, really, a very powerful start. I know eventually was made as a feature film as well, with Anthony Hopkins, but tell us some of the other major projects you've been involved with.
Well, I did one about the Pilgrim Fathers that followed that, and I think I did one also with, goodness me, with Dirk Bogarde and Helena Bonham Carter, can you believe it? And Lee Remick about the dangers of right-wing satellite television coming over to England. And behold, here we are. No, it was a good story called The Vision, again written by Bill Nicholson, who went on to write Gladiator and, of course, wrote the original Shadowlands as well. Did the last two Miss Marples with Joan Hickson, which was rather fun, and lots of other things, including things about Florence Nightingale, and even another one about C.S. Lewis called Beyond Narnia, because I like the man very much. And then this one that I'm here for is about the King James Bible, last year, of course, being the 400th anniversary.
Now, is this a feature film or a documentary?
Well, it's strange. It's a hybrid. It's an entertaining, what they call a drama documentary. There's a good, almost an hour of full costume drama in there, as well as the wonderful John Rhys Davies, who is known as Gimli in Lord of the Rings, wandering through with lip-smacking relish, leading us through this story, which is quite incredible. I was brought up on the King James Bible, but I didn't know the story behind it. It was a fantastic story and a great joy to make. And, of course, it has influenced the rest of the world, and here we are now in Hollywood, so maybe even influences Hollywood.
Now, the film itself is called what?
KJB, the book that changed the world. Slightly like a Russian spy novel calling it the KJB, but on the other hand, people in England watched it and loved it, and I hope they do in America too.
Is it going to be released in theatres or for television or what?
It's released with Lionsgate on DVD. There has been talk of releasing it in theatres. It's 90 minutes long and highly entertaining, and the reviews have been fantastic. So I hope it gets on the few theatres where people would want to come and see it. Certainly television is its main home.
Now, interesting enough, you've made most of your movies actually in Britain, not in Hollywood. Have you made any over here at all?
No, I've made films about Hollywood for the BBC. And I did a film about Dudley Moore that got a BAFTA award. That was a lot of that was set out here on the West Coast in LA. Before he died, obviously, a very tragic loss. But that was a great movie, a great man to make a movie about. So no, I've never actually made the Hollywood movie, never taken the dirty dollar, and I've been over mainly in Europe and Britain. But I've done things for MTV and other stuff like that, but never quite the Hollywood thing. This is great fun. I may change my mind after tonight.
Well, finally, this whole event is basically to honour the good, not attack the bad, which doesn't seem many Christians don't seem to get that message. They seem to spend all their time attacking entertainment and Hollywood.
Yeah.
What do you think about this idea of actually honoring the good rather than throwing stones at the bad?
I think it's fantastic, as long as it doesn't slip into saccharine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with salt as well as sugar, we need them both. Salt as well as light. As a light walks by, as I say that, it must be meant. And I think that the idea of supporting the good is a tremendous idea, and certainly Ted Baer's behind all that. See, there's an awful lot of people who get a bit jaded, and they think that we must always look at the downside and cynical and, you know, the sort of stuff. When in fact the people out there want and need and are interested in, same as I am, hope as well. Now, we mustn't stop shading the black. But we must also honour the light. And by that I mean I think you've got to look at all humanity. But with the Christian gospel, I mean, heavens, you're going to have light as well, aren't you?
Norman Stone, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Dan Wooding. See you. Bye-bye.